Okay, welcome everybody to another podcast conversation on eruption. Today we have with us Oseghale Ihayere. Ah,
Yeah,
Mr. Oseghale, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's
Nice.
nice to have you here, Musa.
Thank you so much. Thank you for accepting our invite. Mr. Oseghale is the head Business Day Research and Intelligence Unit, BRIU. And
Yes.
honestly, the first time I came to contact with BRIU is from my newsletter. Like they send us weekly, I think daily reports on what is happening in the market. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to talk to the person behind this, right? And today we have the privilege of having you. So thank you so much for accepting.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is my. I'll share it with you too.
All right. We'll begin by we like to start our conversations with just getting to know like who you are more personally. So basically, who are you? What schools did you attend? Where are you from? Which states? And how will you explain your current job right now?
Okay. As he said, my name is Oseghale. My surname is Ihayere. I'm from Edo State, Nigeria. Um, I had my formative years in the city of the Bronx, which is known as Benin City. I
Okay.
had my formative years at that, but I also quickly left for boarding schools. I went to CKC, Lagos, Christ the King, and I proceeded there. So for university, I went to University of Benin and I went to Covenant. So I just recently completed my PhD. So hala, so I had a PhD in the bag. so, so, so that's just one side about it. And what we really do is, for me, numbers has always kind of come as something intriguing and fun
So,
to
Mr.
me. It's
Sagale,
just
before you start talking about numbers, just like on your school, CKC, were you an art student? Were you a science student?
okay, okay. In Christ the King, I was, just to have this mix of social science and art, they combine all, then you not separate according to your area of focus. So the
Okay.
funny thing was, this will come shocking. I wanted to be it started from being a pilot. So to
Pilot.
be
Fly.
exactly fly. It started from being a pilot, because my uncle there was a pilot. So I'm like, I'll be
Oh.
like you. I'll be like you. Then I changed my mind to law. I
Mm-hmm.
changed my mind to
That's a big
economics.
shift, though.
I'm telling you, like the shift there,
Uh,
it doesn't have any relationship.
okay.
So I finally settled for economics
Okay.
and statistics. It will come as a surprise
Mm.
quite late in the later part of my final SS3. So I'm like, okay, I want to do economics and I want to do a course that has mathematics because maths was my strong goal. So I'm like, okay, I'll do economics and statistics. Then I started browsing for schools that had the course, and only Uniben had that course at that point in time. So I applied for
Economics and
Uniben.
statistics.
Yes, together. So I majored in the two. So that's how I started from.
Oh, okay, nice. And then your PhD in Covenant University was what?
Economics, you now specialize. So I did innovation and applied econometrics.
Oh, wow. All right. So we'll talk about innovation soon, but you can go ahead. Yeah, so you're talking about numbers.
So
You're interested in
yeah,
numbers.
numbers, yeah, numbers. So you could see that despite my interest, my initial career interest, you see how it was just shaking from
Mhm.
pilot, law to that. It's for some of us where in your mind you're always interested in several things. Like, I like this thing, start reading about it. But when you go longer, like, okay, I like it, but I don't want to do it long term.
Yeah.
But the thing with numbers is I used to be that person that you say, okay, 100 divided by this one, so I found it easier to do it. So I was like, okay, let me see how you can apply to the real world. It's not just about scoring high marks to let's say I can solve problems. So
Mm. Okay.
that's how I just always started, having knack for numbers. Then, mind you, growing up, data was not really big. It's not like now that we've developed. Now data is so big. So maybe by then I was want to be a data. I would have just been firm with it.
Yeah.
So just started with having with quant, and the thing with Uniben was they had this course to applied econometrics. See, let me not sound all booky. That course was hard when we were in school. Like, see, I'll be honest with you. That,
You're
that
discouraging somebody now that's listening and say, I want to go to
no,
Uniben. You're
no,
discouraging
no,
them.
no. See, I'll be honest. That course, for a couple of minutes, I was just asking, what are they saying? Like, what are they doing
Was this
there? Like,
what level was this in that they started teaching you?
Uniben welcomes you as early as possible. Like
They will throw you to the fire early on.
like the department was economy and statistics back then. I think they had to separate it because the
Okay.
heat was really much. Like
Mm.
the only course we're not doing that was not micro, or sorry, that was not quant inclined was GNS. And I know in my department, if they had a way, to have made the GNS and philosophy quant inclined without even thinking about it. So they just threw it into and they just start cooking to them. But it started getting better with time.
The
And
econometrics of Aristotle.
exactly. I think it could. Come to think about it, too. I don't know how it would have looked, but maybe it
Yeah.
sounded nice, whatever. So it just started developing, and we had some lecturers who were key on
Yeah.
engaging people, and so it just started growing and growing. So then I had some good friends. We're like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. Then funny trick was, as at then, although I was already a student leader then, but I had interest in editorial work because I was speaker of my departments heading to faculty then. But I had
Mm.
serious interest in editorial. So I'm like, I want the editorial people to have some board wherever.
Yeah.
So we, as head of judicial unit, that's parliament, I was able to partition some funds to open editorial unit. I just did it because I liked it. Then from there, that when I started writing what happens in the economy, I was just happy writing it, keeping it weekly.
Mm.
So that I started building to how to use the maths to relate it to real life. So at that point, I was like, yes, I think I like what I'm doing. Then so my class would tell me, what did you write? How did you do it? So I just kind of
Which
felt
administration was this? Which government's administration was this when you were writing the editorial? Because you say you're looking at what happened to the economy. So I will know
yes, yes,
what kind of
yes.
economy this.
No, no, no. I know. Actually, it all started with the Yar'Adua and Good Luck
Okay, okay,
administration. That was when I was in school at the late part of
okay.
Good Luck. So that's when I was basically
Ah,
still
it'll be tough.
undergraduate. Today there is one. No, no, it was tough, but
Yeah.
economists right now are having a tougher time. Believe
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I know how to say it, but you said it.
They're
Thank
having a
you.
tougher time. Exactly. It was
Yeah.
tough. So that's why I just started developing and developing, and at the point is I did some other things too. So all coming down to business day, just giving me a big opportunity to expand on that knowledge, grow to then I have a very interesting staff. These are very intelligent people. They know what they are doing. Besides what they are doing, is they are willing to learn, and we are expanding other measures because I discovered until with learning. Some of us learn through reading,
Mm-hmm.
some of us learn through watching, some of us learn through listening. So me, I'm very keen on listening. So
Mm-hmm.
just launched like a podcast too that relates our own market intelligence.
Oh, nice.
Then recently we have like a minute or two
Mm-hmm.
video that whatever you read in those newsletter, we have a video format of it, and we also have an audio format of it.
Mm-hmm.
So whichever size of the dice you like to sleep on, there's always a room for you there. So that's what we do. We churn about the data economy. So it depends on that. But one thing we do, I tell them is don't turn data to be a news agency. And what I mean by that is I don't want because something blew up today, you want to be the first to do it. No, those are for journalists. Let them do it now. Why did the data change? You have to sit down and understand the reason for the metrics. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to give understanding. So back to the question is, we have individuals, individuals from the household. What I mean, just individuals. Then we have individuals who are corporate entities. What I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is one man business or group of people. Then we also have institutions
Mm-hmm.
that also platform with us. So we're able to divide our audience, and that's why we come up with common interests,
Mm-hmm.
uh, information. But it's always trying to get better. Oh, with the newsletter, we are less than a month, but
Mm-hmm.
believe me, man, to tell you that Nigeria is in deep need for data, we've had a lot of pull-ups and association. Recently, I was watching on TV, and one of the big news agencies were referencing what we did. I was like, okay, wow, it's nice.
Yeah.
You get to all that. Okay, okay, this is good because sometimes we have mix up in the financial and data, but we were the media agency. Our interest is not in any way. We report it the way it is without being biased. So We just do it like that. So
I don't know if you read today, right? I mean, I don't know when today will be for people listening, but
yeah,
today, like 11th of October, Stairs Business, I'm sure you know Stairs Business. Stairs Business were able to raise 3.3 million, right? And I'm sure like it makes you a bit happy at least because like it shows that data is now like people are knowing that data is important and they are putting the money to ensure that more data, is being published from credible sources and whatnot. And I think Preston Ide, who is like one of the co-founders, right? He's also from I think he's from Edo or Benin.
yes, he went to. I listened to his interview. I'm a big fan of them. So
Okay,
he went to Benedion.
okay,
I got that from his interview.
okay. So I mean, you're not too far away.
No, as in we don't know personally, but
Okay.
I really
Matter
admire
of
what
time.
they do. Stairs is doing what they know how to do very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And talking from the industry perspective, they're doing a very, very good job. And when our industry perspective, we are talking about media,
Mm-hmm.
media house for business and finance. So they are doing a very good job. But what really makes Business Day stand out is the first mover advantage, which we have is
Mm-hmm.
Business Day started this before anybody thought about it. Business Day is ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
But what Stairs has, which I like to give people, their flowers why they have them, why they can still receive them, by the ways. Stairs has there's this thing, that's how they analyze the slow news movement. They don't jump, there's way they do this
But
slow news.
Preston said like he chose that strategy. He literally said, I don't know which interview you saw of Preston, but I saw the one with PC Timmy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Peace Timmy too. Shout out to Peace, another big
Yeah.
Edo girl that is raising
Yeah,
the
like
flag.
you guys, it's like those Edo people have to start attacking all of you because, yeah.
But as I said, man, Business Day is very solid in two ways. Business Day is key on first of all with the print media.
Mm-hmm.
What Business Day came about was they were announcing what happens financial and capital market, what happens for both Nigeria, Ghana. They were the first insight giver to what happens in the financial and capital market as far as media was concerned. So they've had a lot of time to it. If I'm not saying still started back even when I was still deciding in secondary school to go to you get so they have a lot of experienced hands. They are people that have worked for 15 years, 18 years. So basically they know what they are doing. They just brought new fresh leg. A football matches, you have to bring new fresh leg in 75 minutes to come and change us.
Mm-hmm.
So we are part of like the new
I
fresh
like that
legs.
football analogy. Yeah.
Exactly. So, although I'm a basketball guy, let me just say it out here. But
In
aside,
Nigeria. Okay, we allow you. We're doing better now. Yeah, let's go ahead. Super Eagles is going down, so it's okay.
so we're part of the new fresh legs that to bring more creativity. And I can tell you, man, since I've come on board being the head of the intelligence unit is something we've done that is different that most of these people don't really do. We have live automation of what happens in financial capital markets. So this is really new in Nigeria here. So what happens is you can get live whatever just happens in the market, you can get it live there from Business Day, and that's really huge.
Yeah.
So then again, we're moving into some other big things, but I like to just stay till they get announced. So I'll just say, just keep your eye for Business Day, BRIU units. Well, as soon as you get to our website, just go to data analytics. So what we have done for there is we have on the market and we have on governance. So we discovered that there's not really governance awareness for each of the states. So for governance data, it actually relates to what happened in each of these states. You break it down. For instance, you can just click on there and understand the whole economic matrix for Anambra. You get it ASAP. You get for all the states. You can do your predictive analysis for you for there. All this data, number one, it helps investors. It
Mm-hmm.
particularly helps new investors in a relatively unfamiliar ground or familiar territory. Like for instance, if you wanted to invest in something like food, I'm just assuming because the food industries,
Mm-hmm.
you might not have the full information for that.
Yeah.
but there are some investors, the funds come faster, the funds grow faster than the ideas. Some people, the ideas grow faster than the funds. So how
Mm.
can you match these things? So it's data like this that gives you that equal playing ground that you can hit the ground running. So when you get there, like, okay, what's happening in Anambra? What's their matrix? You click there, you get what's happening in Anambra. You can make your decision yourself.
Yeah.
What's happening in Edo? Oh, Edo, awesome. They click. What's happening in Lagos? So that's awesome. Then after we moved to that, we moved on to what happens in financial and capital markets, break the number of deals, the financial, banking sector, consumer goods, real estate, fully under data analytics. So I advise everybody to hit on to Business Day and,
Yeah.
they should just get on there.
But not only like I think for me, I mean, it depends how you consume information, right? I like information organized. So I mean, I only subscribe to newsletters that I know I'll actually read, for example, right? And
Okay, yes.
I don't like sometimes I have a problem with websites because it's like everything's there, but I don't really need everything. So I just need like particular
Okay,
information, right? And I think like
yes,
business they do that so well because it's like they have understood that like some people are interested in X or Y or Z, right? But like not everything. So like I know you guys like your
yes,
days, you guys have weekenders, which is like just
yes,
fashion weekend and stuff.
yes,
And you guys have like the news. I think recently you guys have started doing something like five things you need to know for Tuesday, five things you need to know for Wednesday.
yes,
So I just
yes,
love how you guys have segmented and understood how people consume information, and you guys are pushing that out more and more. So I would say like not even that people should check out Business Day, but people should check out Business Day newsletters because that is
yes.
for me that is more important, right?
I like that. I like that. It's very, very key. Yes, very key. Yes, sure. Because people like to read what will be of interest and what will help them. And
Exactly.
just as you rightly said, is in this time, how many people can give so much time to reading everything? Like for me, I want to know what's happening in the capital markets as an individual, as an investor, and pertains to my work. So I'm just concerned with that. And you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
All the things I subscribe to are leading to capital or financial or business. All
Yeah.
my TV channels I watch relating to that, everything is just
Yeah.
around that.
Or
Exactly.
MBA.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But first, we'll go into like the what you guys are doing. But I want to like understand because I think for a year or two now, I've been like subscribed to the Business Day newsletters, right? And like as you said, the BRIU, that's the Research and Intelligence Unit, is very recent, right? So how
Yes.
did it start? Like, what kind of conversations were you guys having internally that made it like, okay, we need to have a Business Day international? Because I'm also like a big reader and listener of The Economist. I think
Okay.
to know The Economist, right? And The Economist
Yeah.
has something like similar, right? And when I saw that in Business Day, I was like, they sabi, because like I needed a Nigerian version. And like
Yes.
is now giving me a Nigerian version of what that looks like. So how
Yes.
did it come about? Like, why did you guys decide to create an angle just for research and intelligence?
Although for contests, business AI has different departments. The research department has always been, but
Mm,
you must learn to move with time.
mm,
You must. I mean, Fisher. If for those that did economics,
yes.
speculation of money, speed of money,
Mm-hmm.
where your money is going, you have to move in that direction.
Yeah.
You get so to just make it more thing was research at the point in time. I got into a time. Okay, let me just put it like this: is when I was doing my old PhD was first of all because I got reference for the job, so I just want to state everything the way it is. When I was
So
doing my
you're still in
PhD, I
Covenant,
was
for reference.
yes.
Okay.
What,
You're still in
Sorry, I
Covenant
didn't.
University. You say you got reference for
Yes, yes, I was in my final phase for my
PhD.
PhD
Okay.
when I got so they want to. Then I will create the culture was during my thesis. I've always been in quotes. People like to tag me like the new age economist. So
What
I've
does
always
that
been
mean?
no, like don't like sorry, like they always want to separate and say, oh, you have a new way of thinking,
Hmm.
which might be cool, and some people might not take it cool at that point in time. But I've always had this way to say no. If we're going to look at economic growth this way, I don't want to look at it from the whole normal GDP as people do it.
Hmm.
We have other metrics we can look at.
Okay.
So in context of when I was doing innovation and applied economics was I'm like, These are the angles we looked at. So I looked at social inclusion
Mm-hmm.
and involvement of ICT. So I was looking at how technology can drive inclusive programs. So I discovered that when I was doing my presentations, because PhD had a lot of presentations, wherever people used to have a lot of questions to ask me. Not necessarily because they didn't
They
understand,
ask
but
you questions instead of you asking them.
no. For the team PhD is that they have a time where you while you present,
Yeah, then they'll
floor
question
is
your
now open.
presentation.
Yeah, so I discovered the kind of questions people were always asking where they wanted to know, So for me, I didn't know that people were just watching or observing me and they saw me in that light. So it got to a point in time I was like, the the media has a role to play when it comes to social inclusion plans. When it comes to social inclusion, I know that's not what we're doing here. Is basically is how can we elevate participation of individuals in society,
Mm-hmm.
aka non-discrimination as regards gender, youth involvement. I discovered something that's very particular about jobs that are vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
It reduces people's economic power. So that was part of my findings. And I discovered that the female had a higher vulnerability rate according to their jobs. So at that point in time, someone was like, I think you should use the way you think to help a media house, which I know are looking into the future to create like a bloom. So I'm like, okay, let me see what they have.
I love the way you said this. Okay, like, so.
So exactly. So I'm like, okay, let's just see what they have. Because at that point in my career, I wasn't necessarily, although I was looking for big things, but I wasn't necessarily going to just jump on anything
Yeah.
because I just knew what I wanted to do. So luckily, the interview was more like conversation. So I discovered, oh, they wanted to be something data. Number one is, even if I like data, I didn't fully understand it, and when I don't fully understand it, it excites me because that's an avenue to learn in the process.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, this is good, this is good. So that's how conversation started. We started being a lot of insight. So at that point in time, I already had interest without even they said come and work. So I was
Yeah.
already doing a lot of research, what to do,
Mm-hmm.
what not to be done. I was engaging with a lot of stakeholders already. Some
That's
of the
in
big,
Permanent University.
no, in Nigeria, people that
Okay,
do,
okay.
yes, in the financial. So I already moved over from school in quote level. I was moving to the real life
Yeah.
stuff. How does it really imply? So I started having meetings. Some people were very receptive. I was able to have like coffee chats. So for me, it was interest. I was like, if these guys don't do it, whatever I find with it, I'll just fast track it and start doing whatever I want to do. So
Yeah.
so we just came aboard. So as soon as I came, I already knew what I was supposed to do. So I just hit the ground running. And after 2 weeks, I just told them, this is what we are doing. And we have a very awesome person in our publisher. We have somebody, the CEO, Frank Agbogun. Like, the reason why I like the CEO publisher is I like people who don't just take information without asking questions. I don't know. That's just so he asks questions that will even make me say, why did I think of Z instead of Y? So his informations were still engaging. So despite he's the other generation, quite older, but he listen. So he just gave me permission. I was like, okay, as far as what you are doing for business, I give you the full support. You have my full support. Make whatever impact and corrections you can do. So simply just told everybody to listen to me and do what I need to do. And that was all I needed. So when we got that, 2 weeks later, we started the newsletter. I started training the people on job with external people too, because I didn't know everything too. You never know everything, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I just started picked. And the reception was, in quotes, what my people say, mad. I'm like, I'm like, so people needed this thing before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know because I had a way of getting it, as an individual. Like, yeah. So what we now did is we now said, okay, we are not going to make the information complicated. If you read any of our newsletters, you can read the lines and have, if it's too bad, let's say you did something on, I'm assuming, something like just cement costs, you will have 40% idea. So I use my learning, I use my transfer as a teacher ability to break down the information. So
Mm-hmm.
a basic person can read that newsletter and you can understand what's in the financial market. So that was just the angle for us, was
Mm-hmm.
having a newsletter that the average person can read and be better compared to the last time you didn't read it. So there was a lot of experiment and survey. So as I came, we have a good culture here. So I just passed around to some of the older managers. I like, come, I'll test you like, oh, you this boy, leave me alone. I'm like, okay. I was like, okay, read this thing and tell me what I can find about it. So some of them were very receptive. So that's what the underground work we did. Before we did it, mind you, BRII did 1 minute free survey. Sorry, 1 month. So we shared it freely to a lot of thousands of people. You didn't have to subscribe. So we now did a survey check. So when we did, I implemented it and gave to all the subscribers. So that's how we moved. So we did that. Then we started building. So what was in the research page before? I don't like things without numbers. And I discovered that
Okay.
for people who are interested in markets, they will not really click towards that. So if you, what was there before was more like a blog, a newsletter blog. So we had to review that aspect of it without
Mhm.
affecting the full website, because Business Day has a lot of viewership. So you can't affect the whole total package because you want to improve the sector. So,
Mhm.
and God helping, I just happen to have fantastic people around and
Mhm.
who are willing to listen. Sometimes I could call them at funny times and they're like, okay, sir, we'll do it, we'll look at it. So,
Yeah.
so for me, it was say, guys, you guys have worked. Because I'm telling you, man, in the initial stage, these guys were working more than the required time. And I got to a point in time, I'm like, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. Take these 2 days off, nothing. If you see my call, you don't pick it, I'll handle everything I'm doing. So I just scheduled people like that because I had to say, no, I have to understand where you're coming from. So I'm like, okay, for this week, you take 2 days off. Next week, so when we have your balance, I'm like, is everybody not refreshed? I'm like, okay, fantastic. We have a new project. I'm like, oh, okay, so I knew we had a new project. That's why I gave us a few days off or whatever. So it's just a way to have that culture. So that's how we blew it up and the reception of it there. So, and I said, okay, let's now add, so I surveyed the market. I'm like, okay, let's now have a data-driven newsletter.
Mhm.
And behind it was, I didn't want it to be a journalism. Like for instance, because like for everything happening in the economy that week, I didn't want it to be in that newsletter. Something like I wanted to separate if you are reading something from a journalist and something
Mhm.
from that's giving you insights. I'm like, okay, we are going to run on things that affect individuals, their
Mhm.
standard of living, their day-to-day life, and
Mhm.
not give it to them in a data format so that they'll be able to understand. I'll give you an example. We've just seen that the oil interest rate has moved from 32.5 from where it was recently.
Mhm.
But for somebody passing on the streets, how does it affect the person? When CBN created a policy, how does it affect those individuals? So
Mhm.
that data insight that happens on Sunday gives them an insight. Number one is some days we can hit the transportation sector.
Yeah.
We can hit for the last one, if you looked at it, we hit cultural issues. We just
Mhm.
wanted to push our plug to relate to cultural issues and things in that direction and just kind of made sense. So people are like, okay. So this why this was like this, why that thing was like this. And we have like there's a survey we have on the website. So recently the questions has been coming as a result of the newsletters. And I can tell you, man, our newsletters just took off. Then corporate bodies started coming, but one corporate bodies have the same vision. So the people don't really, because that's one thing I like about business days. They have to share similar interests with you so
Mhm.
that they don't start shaping
Yeah.
the whole idea. It's to make it better, not to drive it to a direction that takes it away from the vision. So right now, I want to also say thank you to the sponsors so far, and hopefully we can get more too.
Okay. So yeah, I've not started even talking about what you exactly are doing. Let's just hold that for now. But like I have a question, standard narration podcast question, which is what do you think about being Nigerian and feeling Nigerian in the 21st century? I love that you said that, people refer to you as the new economist. So let's start off from
Yeah.
that, like as a new economist in the 21st century in Nigeria, like how do you feel?
um, Everything's fast.
What?
Like
No,
I
I mean,
was
speed. Is it speed fast or what fast? What kind of fast? I think fast can be different things.
okay. I would give an analogy from my generation and the other. It's where I come from. My granddad was a chartered accountant, so he has been doing this
Mm,
finance. So when we used to talk before it was late, like he understands these things, but from his generation is he's always telling me, Everything is happening at the same time. Why is it happening at the same time? Like those were his main questions.
Mhm.
So for a new age economist,
So what does
I
he
was
mean by
like,
everything is happening by the same time?
exactly. Like when they used to churn out as a financial head or whatever they do is they had their own ways of how they help for revenue and also for depository and whatever. But at that point in time is you are having the international space now, not having the same impact they used to have on individual economies. I'll give you an example. Before, if the US economy had a major shake
Mm-hmm.
in previous years, I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, the entire world economy is moving in that same shake. Now,
Mm.
what happened now is that some individual units, that's countries, have built their own economic wall, whereby whatever happens in that big space will not have exactly the same. So you as an economist now is because you just see what happens there, you already know what to do in that direction. But your environment is dynamic. So what it makes it move so fast is this one is moving, but your own unit is moving towards another direction.
Mm.
Like, who would have thought with the pandemic, in quotes, Africa will still even be thriving? I'm not saying Africa is perfect, but we surpassed whatever expectation. Everywhere we're trying to, oh, let's save Africa, Africa will
Mm-hmm.
crumble, if the world
Mm-hmm.
destroyed, Africa will crumble. But let's be honest, most economies in Africa, although we have some that are terribly managed,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't have that flat or that decline
Yeah.
as even compared to the bigger economies.
Mm-hmm.
So most of African economies had a way to manage themselves. So as from that new economies is understanding the dynamics across these individual sectors, basically within your economy, because not to deviate is what we are having now in Nigeria and I expect globally is we are having unprecedented rate of inflation, right? And we're also having, let's just say, a looming recession
Mm-hmm.
at the same time happening. I had to put looming before the recession for a particular reason is
Okay.
inflation, basically, layman terms for people, that is when percent increase in price.
Mm-hmm.
Now, recession is what? A decline in economic activities.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the funny twin devil is when we are having inflation, percent increase in price, you can't have a decline in economic activities at the same time.
It is a paradox.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and how do each of these economy engage or improve their own structure? Now, whatever happened for my analysis is sectorial based. What I mean is there are some sectors that are doing very well, and there are some sectors that are struggling. So
Mm-hmm.
when he met is moving with something very fast is whatever happened, there's a sector now which I like to call the creative sector is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The service sector is doing very well. But there are
Mm-hmm.
some also struggling sectors, not as a result of the infrastructures. Maybe the exchange rate, like manufacturing sector, the exchange rate is affecting their production.
Mm-hmm.
So as economists is before everything is to move in the same direction. So let me not bring it back. So now everything is moving. It's like you have four children and they are running at the same time towards a particular edge. So how do you run against each of these four
Mm-hmm.
to save them from falling from that edge? So that's why it meant everything is moving so fast. So
Okay.
during that time, it used to just be one child. Hey, they chase the child and they just pick him. But now it's like four, five, everybody just
Yeah.
running, the same time. So that's really what I meant for that. So for new economists is understanding each of these economies, because for some of us we're born and raised in there, so it becomes like a natural flow. So you start access to do a lot of insights, individual insights
Mm-hmm.
and industry analysis. Just to purchase, we have some companies who also meet us to, beside what we do for newsletters, they
Mm-hmm.
want to understand our industry valuation, industry insights. We
Mm-hmm.
also carry out those and services. We've carried out for telecoms, manufacturing. Recently we did something for real estate and consumer goods. Because now it's not more of we have to understand what's happening in our sector
Mm-hmm.
holistically and also on the micro scale on their own. For instance, Oseghale, and I'm a consumer goods industry. I have to understand
That's
what's happening. Exactly. I have to understand what's happening in Oseghale and Sons food before I
uh-huh.
start understanding what's happening in the bigger scale. So that's basically the it's why I mean things are moving fast.
Oh, okay. I think it's very, very important how you give, the analogy of the children running. One child running was kind of like the economist problem before. I mean, okay, even looking at it from a very theoretical, like Keynesian economics and probably like more recent, neoliberal economists, right? I was listening to Steve King, who considers himself like post-Keynesian economist, right? And he says that
Okay.
one of the problem with economics today, right, is that they're actually using the wrong scope of analyzing the system. So what he says that I think what was it? Was it there was a name for it? Anyways, like is a mathematical equation. So the rate of change equations is what economists use for economists today, right? But then he says that what economists actually need to start doing is like looking at economics through systems engineering. Because by looking at economics through systems
I
engineering,
like that.
that then you'll be able to understand like almost it's like an engine, right? And like your engine works because there are many things that have to be working too for it to work properly, right?
Yes.
But so
Yes.
that was his whole argument that first of all, the whole outlook or like how the modern world is looking at economics and how economists are looking at economics, right, is wrong. And the fundamental problem that would now result to is like a lot of traditional economics and thoughts has to be debated and really like thrown out of the window because they are not relevant. Also, like when you say your grandfather was accounting, right? So I mean, accountants in those days, did not have technology. I was listening to I can't remember the name of the person, anyways, but he was he just recently he just recently published a book. If I remember the name, I'll call it out, called about value investing, anyways. But he said that there's a problem with in Nigeria we don't use GAAP, right? We use IFRS, right? So in the international standard, but then
Yes.
the US use general accounting principles to manage to as a standard for the economies, right? And he said that the problem with that, especially like in this age, is that tech companies, right? So assets in tech companies cannot be understood in the traditional economist conception, right? Because something like a brand, you can't really, based on the definition of an asset in the past from traditional economic accounting
Yes.
terms, you can't really understand a brand. You can't account for a brand on your balance sheets, right? But like
Okay.
tech companies today, right, can have brands that are really assets, but like in the accounting terms, it's not being accounted for. So I think there's a lot of shifts accounting wise, economy wise, right, that like has happened already. But then because we are so stuck on the traditional understanding of things, right, it is limiting us, which is that's why I said I like how you presented it, which is like four children running together. But us, I'll just put another analogy. Instead of, what you are doing is trying to chase all four together, right? But what about like if you're able to connect leash and say as they're running, you just bring them back together and draw them back, right? By that time, it's quite effective. Right? I mean, obviously, you don't use leash for children, but it's just
Yes.
the idea that something that will draw all of them at once towards you instead of trying to ineffectively. How do you want to go and run after four children in one place? Like you lose
Exactly.
three, you can only save one, right? But like if
Yes.
you have a leash connected to them, then you can control all four and bring them back to you. And for me, that
Yes.
is like what Steve King said, which is like systems engineering, right? If you have, at least if you're functioning like that, you can now drag as many as possible back to you to limit
Mm.
the damage. But I would like to hear your thoughts on this before we actually go into your work.
Okay, no, 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 no. It's awesome, and it's always nice when we have people on the other side of the podcast when they at least they have a deep knowledge of exactly what's happening. Like it's obvious you have some very very good foundation and knowledge from that, so it's very key. So the conversations can always strike. It's I wasn't just going to plug it out there. For me, is when you look at the whole economic theories, I think that's what really shaped me.
Mm,
Um, for every theory that comes, Keynesian, post-Keynesian, neoclassical, there's always been new theories that have come to say, no, this is better.
mm.
And that's what's happening to tomorrow in economics. We just had somebody from Chicago. I will struggle pronouncing the name,
Is it
but
Friedman?
No, he just won the Nobel laureate for economics.
Oh, okay, okay.
That was about 2 days ago. Something down trials. So, oh God, I should do better with names. But I should better on it. But what a person did, is very key to what. That's what's very key to realize innovation. Is what we call technology economies, or what people want to call fintech economies. That's why schools like Covenant are bringing up those courses to help with the new age generation. It's just one way of these things is that we as economists or individuals must expose ourselves to the new form of learning
Mm,
for us to actually adapt some of these things. Economists will always give you that theory for you to improve on it.
mm-hmm,
And I always say the application is dynamic.
mm-hmm,
Whatever happens in, for instance, China and the Asia market and the African market may have some, in quotes, copy and paste. Whatever works in Asia can also work in Africa, really, to some extent. But you see, for the bigger economies, those is extremely dynamic. So having proper understanding of the whole macro and micro scale, I think is very, very important. And still understanding the vision of your industry, whichever way you're looking at it. So for the tech guys, is for me, technology was going to blow up. It was inevitable. And right now, it's inevitable when technology is going to probably take over our daily operations. It's not going to take over our lives, but it's going to take over our daily operations.
mm-hmm.
Is if not for technology, you are in Madrid,
Yeah.
I'm in Lagos, and we're having a healthy conversation.
I think we'll have used spiritual means those days too.
Exactly. You get. So, but we're having a very healthy conversation, and we're having things to pick from. So when that comes to business too, there are a lot of dynamics and how technology can, take over the whole play of it. So, like I said before, my ideology was, which is very key, economists must, a social economist must learn to embrace policy making.
Mm-hmm.
If you observe this, most of the economies that have brought about change and a brighter future for us is they've embraced the politics and also policy making. Now it's not changing is you must embrace policy making and technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we have more economies embracing those two, so why there are younger economies that are coming up now, not to even go further. I know an economist who by 400 level, she was able to do a lot of programming.
Mm,
Not necessarily the school taught her
mm-hmm.
because she went out because it's not in the curriculum for most of our economics program here in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But she understood the future she was preparing for. Right now, she
Wait,
does a
wait, you
lot of.
guys don't do simulations, like how, like they don't teach you how to. Then what are you
No,
actually?
no. Don't understand. I'm talking of core programming. We don't do
Oh,
R,
okay,
we
okay,
don't
okay.
do Python. No,
Oh,
well, see, what we do EView starter, which is fantastic.
all right.
But the competition and the global space is different now.
Yeah.
So having understanding of Arrow, Python, me, I didn't have idea of these things till like later in life, and I had to start running. But some of these younger guys, so that's why I say younger generation must improve on what is being, like in couple of years, let's say in 10 years from now, and I sit down with young economists and I find out that I'm still in quotes ahead of the curve. I think those economists are failed because I should sit down and I'm like, oh wow,
Mm.
wow, wow. I should be able to see something like, oh, we need to engage you, we need to engage you. Draw up a teamwork simulation and include these new ideas. It always has to be improved upon. So that's where I'll just stick.
But I mean, like, based on that, right? So the economic field is a bit like the academic field in the sense that the hierarchy matters, right? And depending on the personality of the people sitting on the helm of the affairs,
Yes.
right, that can really influence, that relationship in quotes. I mean, for example, like in university systems, a professor that has been cited, I don't know, 2,000 times, and then a newbie that is just coming, right? Like a newbie challenging a quote 2,000 cited professor, right? That's just that elevation is like the professor so depending on the personality, the professor might take it or he might not take it. So somebody will be looking at, like, a professor can look at it, I mean, that know these things, I do a community challenge me, right? Can look at him that way. But there's another person that will be like, interesting. Maybe that can add to the body of work that I've done before, right? So I think it's
Yes.
really important to also, like, talk about the relationships between, like,
Yeah.
experienced economists and new economists, right? Because it's not traditional in the sense, traditionally, right? Everybody knew the same thing. As per, if you were going to learn about kings, by the time you reach the peak of kings, there's really nothing else
Yes.
you had to learn except from kings, right? But like today, it's more broad. So a new economist can be learning about, for example, like the accounting problem I told you, can be learning about, like, okay, how can we solve this? How can we solve that, right? That
Yes.
kings
Yes.
cannot, like, or like Friedman cannot even tell you about that fully, but like you need
Yes.
to take initiative, and because you're so in touch with the world and with the market at that point, right? It will allow you to see things that more theoretical and experienced people using other systems and thoughts, to school of thoughts before, right, cannot see. So I think the relationship is important too.
Yes. It's key. Like there's something I would always want to say for the rest of my career is as long as I grow and develop is I've been very fortunate, to
Mm,
be honest, to have people who have listened to me
mm,
and people who have, in quotes, knocked my head. That's disciplined me.
yeah.
For my PhD, I had a very, very wonderful professor, who, by the way, was a professor at 39.
Wow.
That's Professor Evans Osabunye, brilliant mind. But Professor Evans Osabunye has been cited more than those numbers
Yeah.
that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what Prof taught me, and my Prof listened to me. Every single thing I said, even when I was saying nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
like he gave me that confidence. So I'm just trying to say that we must understand that we must listen, even when they are going wrong.
Mm,
Listen to them and correct them. I
mm-hmm.
wasn't going to use some of the theories or whatever I was going to use before. In my mind, economics, I want to do this, do that. Like, okay, for you to do change, you have to do like this. And I listened to him. I implemented everything I wanted to do, but I needed to come from a different direction or different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very key. Having the right mentors and having the right teachers is very key. I can't really say that for some other people who were
Mm,
in that program, because I see some professors, you try to talk to them and they are stiff on their way. Like I was for one of the big economic conference, and while talking, during the lunch break and interaction, I tried having conversation with someone that is earlier, and man, he wasn't understanding, and it was just the simple dynamics of how innovation and how it can affect um, their own environmental grounds, because they were looking at the ESGs, and I'm very big on ESG, just personal terms on ESG, climate change, and blah blah, like how innovation and data can affect. I was like, no, this is how they do it. I don't know. And sorry to add another segment to your story. Was like, I'm professor, I've done so and so. At that point in time, I knew I needed to go. I'm like, okay, thank you, sir. And I just had to take my leave to meet a new age in that block. So it will always happen like that. Not everybody would take your ideas, but whenever you meet that person, like Professor Evans was my PhD supervisor. I could have just neglected him as soon as I'm done my PhD,
mm,
because there's nothing tying me now to him. But I can tell you is, if we went out to make some life decisions, I also consult him too.
mm,
Exactly. So that's the kind of relation that I myself as a leader, I'm hoping to, bring onto
mm-hmm.
to my team, and at least he always tells me to be better than he, so try to be better. So that's it.
All right. Okay, let's now talk about, like, your work proper. So BRIU.
Exactly.
So what exactly do you do? Maybe do a day in the life or day in the week of or something in business.
uh, okay. Do you mean professionally, like for BRIU?
Yeah, exactly, professional.
Okay. Professional for BRIU. Basically, because of the time frame through different economies is I subscribe to a lot of data, TVs, wherever. So as soon as early from 4, 5, when on the other word, it's like market close. I start gathering some of this data already. It's something I just like doing. So I start gathering each of them. So as early as whatever, by 8, 9, I should have gotten everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then start doing predictive analysis for Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Then NGX, wherever release the data.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also do our own, then make comparisons. So it comes early. So that's why we don't just, release it to say, oh, Dangote were top gainers. No, we have to give you why. And
Mm-hmm.
if we say the consumer the consumer index were better, we have to tell you which of the companies within the consumer index did better and why. But we make it. If you observe, our newsletters for daily is one pager. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, it doesn't go beyond one page. Like I tell them, anything you want to say in this life, let it be in that one page.
Mm-hmm.
And one paragraph should not be more than 4 lines,
Mm-hmm.
and make it easy to read. So sometimes when we done with all these things, we can have as much as 3, 4, 5 pages. So we now start doing summary, 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 and easy to read. So I think that's the thing that takes our time basically. Then we follow a lot of engagement. Then outside do that, we also build industry insights for individuals. Recently, we just did, I don't know, can't call the big body names, but we just did for some of them. So they involve us in a lot of traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So we also help them gather data to and promote increase. So for small scale enterprise and also the major businesses, recently the HNIs, that's high network individuals or institutions, have been on board with that. So
Mm-hmm.
we just do with this. Then once in a while, I also involve in the teaching process because sometimes I may have new interns I want to learn, and when I was in the process of learning, like I always tell my people, is some people had good environment to learn. Some of us learn through internet. For someone like me, I learned through internet, and I wish I had somebody that was just teaching me the ropes. I think I would have been faster. So I
Mm-hmm.
try as much as create that time to also do this, and that's the whole thing.
All right. So, as you stated, like the emphasis, like is the Nigerian market, and
Yes,
the
because we need to. My professor taught me something. He likes to call it the Afghanistan.
understand.
Like, yes, I will explain what it means. It's like Oseghale, report what happens in Nigeria rather than going to go and report what happens in another place when you've not finished analyzing what happens in your place.
Mm,
When he said that, I'm like, that's good. So have we finished doing insight work? There are so many people in Nigeria say business they are not even covering in terms of financial and business.
mm-hmm.
So let's deal on that. So we just deal on Nigeria. The highest we can quote is Ghana because business day has an office in Ghana. So
Mm-hmm. Mm,
outside those two, we stick as much as we can for that. So I also interact with his Lagos and Ghana. So there's a team over there, also Abuja. So that whole interaction with every unit there to push it and blow it up. Still very, very important.
all right. So it's interesting that you're talking about, that your focus is in Nigerian market because my question now is, like, what is the Nigerian economic model? Like, what exactly is the Nigerian economic model, and how can you explain the Nigerian economy?
Questions like that are always, that I say it can always be very, very relative. If you look at the Nigeria economic model broken down to macro scale,
Mhm,
you can just always analyze. There was a recent report done by CBN, or they tried to harness each of these parts. If you look at it on the broad macro scale, we have the real output, we have inflation, we have fiscal balance, money growth, savings, and whatever are these things. Then why for the micro scale, we also have some other things that have to do with the small individuals, for individuals, for households, and that's daily sustainability. And for the Nigeria sector is what are we really dependent on in terms of revenue? Oil. There's no brainer to know what the answer is.
Do you know you said that? Oh yeah.
you know,
Okay.
so if oil fantastically does well tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians are big boys, are big boys to the party.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have, a lot of shake up. But, It's just happens. So our revenue will still just be lacking. So when it comes to the whole Nigeria economic model, is in terms of revenue is one dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
But what recently has been able to be done, not also from CBN, but looking at IMF engagement and central bodies, is how to really not just engage, but fund and invest in the alternative sector. I like to call them the alternative sector.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the entertainment industry for me is one of the biggest exports Nigeria has.
Yeah.
How can we manage, improve, and make them a major corporate of our GDP? These are
Mm.
questions. These are solutions that are being on place. Now, technology, when I say technology is too broad, you know.
Yeah.
When people say technology, there's software, there's hardware, there's so
Yeah.
many things. But let's just break it down to the whole fintech. Fintech is making a case.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also adding to remittance and the FPI, that's the cash flow that pumps into the economy. In more recent years, we look at the cash flow that's pumped into Nigeria economies as a result of the engagement of fintech. So most of these guys are able to strike this international engagement, involvement. You
Mm-hmm.
see what just happened to some of these guys that were being bought by Stripes. This is huge sum of money pumped into the economy.
Yeah.
That's why if you observe, what was considered a very acceptable form of role as a job in the
Mm-hmm.
late 90s or early 2000s. It's not what's considered now.
Mm.
You know, for me, there is higher money of circulation in the economy. So most
Yeah.
people are engaged in the fintech space, in technology space, in software
Mm-hmm.
space, and they are doing relative well. They have multiplier effects
Yeah.
of even helping their household. Households have better standard of living. Above all of what the economists were doing, what's the essence? Improve standard of living. When
Mm.
an individual is how now let's go back safe. How they taught us in social studies that time leading to economics is
Mm-hmm.
when an individual is happy, the unit is happy, the family is happy. When the unit is happy,
That's what is 101.
the community is happy, state is happy. So if we have an improved standard of living individual base, that community will have an improved standard of living.
Mm-hmm.
And the multiplier effect to start going around to, let's just take it back to zero it down. For me, when it comes to standard of living and improve on that, the tech is making a case, the creative sector is making a case. How can we mobilize and fund? So in a couple of, let's say with the whole signing in that's going on, we should have real active funding into those sectors. Although this is not like for any major stops, but recently, Kune just released a, a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Kule Afolayan. The movie is doing very well. I watched the movie. I've always liked Kule Afolayan's movies. Like, I'm not a movie person, but I put a notification on Kule Afolayan's Instagram.
Mm.
As
Okay.
one of the few people, because
Yeah.
I like the way he thinks. Not just his movie, like he's trying to have a whole community that is for his movie. So it reminds me of when you go to some of, if you travel, you go for, at least you are in Madrid, you can
Mm-hmm.
go for these festivals. Like you are put in a community that just
Yeah.
movie or an art or stuff. So he has that mindset, and it's something in the future I hope to invest or whatever. So that's besides stories.
Mm.
He's able to do these recent movies now because he struck a very interesting deal with Netflix. Because I follow him, like I said, I don't joke with Kule. I put him on post notification, videos,
Kule is the
stories.
market research.
Yes, like he's my guide. Yeah, he's my guide. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's very cool. So he struck a deal and he was able to get about 6 movies out of Netflix, being already paid and fund for. That's why he's able to release this set of movies. So I didn't knew this movie was going to come out because that was part of the deal
Mm.
that is struck. So what I was Kule is just one of the many.
Mm-hmm.
If we have more deals like this struck, and I can tell you, assume if it was 10 naira that I was given to Kule, I can tell you is in a couple of more years, that 10 naira will be nothing in a couple of years. What I'm trying to say is the pathway to the future, guys. So for the creative industry, these are people that are creating the way. He's
Mm.
increasing the money that comes to the economy. He's just one of them. There's a scriptwriter, there's an editor. I'm sure they are probably paid more, or they have a larger team now that
Mm-hmm.
have some form of employment. Now, people can go and say, Mom, I just got a job. Oh, I'm a scriptwriter. You
Mm-hmm.
don't try that in the late 90s or in the early 2000s. Because at now, they're like, a scriptwriter. Mommy, they're paying me 700. And your mom is like, They didn't even pay me 200 in my career. You get it?
Yeah.
And your mind, and the mom is like looking at. So initially, I remember when,
Wait, I need to do a Nigerian mother. So you write scripts, like you just write.
yeah, exactly, like say they pay, exactly. It's a question like I still
Yeah.
remember when we started doing data. I say, I remember when I say, Daddy, please, do you have a dollar account? I want to receive money. My father will say, for what? I say, how to do? So when they transfer some money, maybe as in transfer, I think the first time when I got that time since still young, got like 300 and something, like someone transferred $300 to my account. I think it's my own, keep it. It's my money. Don't touch it, daddy. It's my
Yeah.
money. But I'm like, this thing they are paying you. It's like it's good though. So you understand their interest when I start coming. I can tell you there are script writers, that earn as script writing is very lucrative. Let's not even go there. There are people that do makeup for the set. Now
Mm-hmm.
I can go say, mommy, I'm the one that did the makeup for this movie and everything. See how much they paid me. Your mom be like, because like they know this boy, let me use the word. Our Nigerian mothers, he not thief, he not rob, they pay him this money. It means he's doing well now. From there, they'll start supporting you now. you know, you
Yeah.
know, all this is like, mom, you want to do data, like, she has to put those things in Excel format now. Is that what you want to do? Like, no, it's just beyond
Yeah.
that. Like, mommy, I don't even know this thing fully. Oh.
Yeah.
But the small one I know, see
Mm-hmm.
the one they are willing to pay. They'll be like, so when can you learn everything? And how fast can you learn everything? So these are just the times that just really help us to do that.
Yeah, it's very like I love that you're bringing it here, right? Because I think at the end of the day, what is really changing is value, right? And the perception of value. I mean, people might have value. I don't know. Law is always relevant. The doctor will always be relevant, right? But
Yes,
then, like
yes,
economy as a whole, like the global economy and the present economy, values different things at different points in time. I'm something like Taiwan, right? Yeah. So amongst many other things, right, the resources conductors and what you need to just produce technology, right? I mean, maybe in the 70s, right, it might not have been necessary, but then the economy now says, okay,
exactly.
conductors are necessary today, right? So somebody that is into that industry now will now be getting so much money as compared to before, right? Or like
Yes,
private equity. So I mean, in the past, private equity funds might not have been doing as well as they are doing today.
yes,
I mean, value
yes,
at the end of the day is critical. Like what an economy values is what probably you should follow, and not the traditional set in stone
yes.
things that we know of.
And that's kudos to technology. I always, if technology was a human being, trust me, I would be paying my dues to it every day. Like even in the health sector, we have AI for healthcare, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fantastic. When I started considering, I was like, should I go into AI for healthcare? 'Cause it's like they have money. Oh. Or I should just stick with this one. Or I
Yeah.
should go blockchain development, I go Web3. It's all a learning phase. You can't know everything. But me, I just looked at my background. I said, okay, want to improve the data around financial and the capital markets. Then
Mm.
from there, get into blockchain, like which is very key now. Because I believe the future apex banks, that's the central bank, they will have to get engaged
Mm.
with blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, the economy should embrace policy making. So by then if by then we should be the economies that should be part of them, we should have a strong understanding of this too to improve the whole African market. So that's it.
How hard is it, by the way, of gathering data in Nigeria?
Hmm. How hard is it for Nigeria to win the World Cup?
Ah, ah, hey,
Okay, okay, okay,
hey.
okay, okay, okay,
We
okay,
might
okay,
never win it
okay,
though.
okay,
It's like
okay,
that.
okay,
So
okay,
close.
okay, 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 and that was just for jokes. Yeah. The thing with data is at industry level, there's a lot of confidentiality.
Mhm.
In government too, oh my word, it's beyond that. Then
Yeah.
when they try to open the bureaucracy,
Mm-hmm.
so for us is what we and my team, I tell them is there are some skill sets you have that you can get this data
Mm-hmm.
without even involving them. So some in quotes might not be totally acceptable, but then I got the data. I got the data.
Mm-hmm.
So in Nigeria, it's not really so. But there's something I've learned recently. Now I learned it's a suggestion came one time. I said, Gary, write a letter to this agency and let's see their response. So we wrote to them. Actually happened during my thesis. So when I was doing something on vulnerable employment,
Mm-hmm.
more I discovered that that data, it's like I shot myself on the leg. After speaking, I want to help social inclusion, vulnerable employment, look at it from Nigeria to the whole of Africa. They're like, oh, night, well, like never been done before. Oh, yeah, where's the data? Hey, I got
Wait,
a
you did it for
shocker.
the entire Africa.
Yes, 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 for
That was your
Africa.
PhD thesis.
Yes, 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 yes,
Ah,
yes, yes.
sorry.
No, although, no, although, I was lucky, I had agencies. That's why I say I learned it then. So
Okay.
sometimes just writing a decent letter to agencies helps and solve your problem. So I'll just write letter through Covenant. Covenant will send to them and they will respond. I tell you, I got a lot of response.
Mm,
I got a lot of response. So since then, I always try to use the pen. Just
okay.
write. Sometimes it's you go write, you're not gonna see anything, but
Mm.
you know, I'll just write and I get feedback. Sometimes it says longer and
Mm,
just stuff like that. So that's what we have been doing. But sometimes it's some of these private individuals, why they do it like that, they also sell the data.
okay.
So it depends on what you're using it to do at
Mm,
that point. I think it determines the response. So as a media house, we're just doing it for quality information
information
to
is yeah.
enhance the individual. But me, I like to say our newsletter improves investment appetite and early investors' appetite. Because why
Mm,
to see early investors' appetite is there are a lot of some people want to start investing with the little as 5,000 they have.
mm-hmm,
They are not just investing because they want to be millionaire tomorrow. They want to start understanding this
mm-hmm,
style of investment. So I think the vision is to also give them an insight to say, okay, this is stock, this is not the stock. Let them start involving that. And mind you, while they are helping themselves, remember they are investing into capital space. What are they doing for Nigeria? Nigeria, money in the market too is improving. So there's
mm-hmm,
more money in circulation. Everybody is happy. They
mm-hmm.
can pump it back or reduce it, whatever form
Yeah.
they want to. So that's just the chart for the whole case of that.
Okay. All right. As we begin to just round up quickly, how can probably Nigeria, right now that you have stated that sometimes, obviously, there are different ways to get it, data in Nigeria, like you have used the pen or whatever, but like just fundamentally from would I say structural?
No, okay, sorry, I will allow you land. Because I wanted to say that some cases is hard and we've not gotten them. Please, let me just do as if the pen works.
Okay.
You have to formulate, your own data. So you have to get the groundwork, and it takes a lot of effort, time,
Hmm.
resources, and energy. I can tell you, man, there's predictive analysis we're trying to run
Mm-hmm.
for the next elections and also capital market. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea when I thought about it. Now implementing the idea on
You
another level
know,
because exactly because it's much not necessarily it is difficult, but so much work than what I thought it to be. But
Mhm.
then let's just see how far it goes. So
Okay.
I think we can improve if we can make some of these data public. I beg, please, it won't kill anybody. Let's just make it at least. I'm not saying
For
all.
people's business.
I'm not saying all, but at least to
Small.
improve, yes, some of it, so that we can, grow from there. Then we can now
Mm,
seek a partnership on the full data. I think
mm.
some people do it in maybe they're trying to protect their individual brands or corporate entities or stuff like
I
that.
mean, but to be fair, even business day is paid. Though.
Yes,
So,
business like, but with business days that when you're coming in, we give you some form of
yeah.
free.
Mhm.
For some days, we give it
Yeah.
the appetite. Like I said, make some element of it. Then if like
There are some that will
business day
block you.
has to be paid. Like business day just has to be paid.
Yeah.
For the information, and they have to pay salary. And make everybody happy. Why? Because if trust me, I won't be happy if I'm doing all this work and I'm getting
Yeah. I
and
don't think
stuff like
anybody
that.
will.
Exactly. So just stuff like that.
So anyway, the question was like, how can we have like a stronger market and economic intelligence? Like, how can you have stronger market and economic intelligence systems? I mean, the standard probably institutional data channel, right? Something like Bloomberg Terminal. Like a lot of people
Yes.
just use Bloomberg Terminal, right? So that's basically the question. Like, how can we get to the point? And Bloomberg Terminal, by the way, is a private thing. Like the guy is just obviously like it's a partnership. Like the guy is not public. He's doing it by himself. He started it long ago, and today so many people are using Bloomberg Terminal, right? So how can we get to the point? Yeah, maybe that's another question. How can we get to the point whereby we have strong market and economic intelligence systems in Nigeria, and is private the right way to go, or should it be a responsibility of the government?
Um, it's not fully responsibility of the government, although the government will always have a role to play in any sector you come from, in
Yeah.
terms of creating the institutions and infrastructures in place. But I think it boils down to us as corporate entities, first of all, to have the vision and understand what we are trying to do, then also have the right talent. Because in Nigeria now, having the right talent is becoming a problem. But well, thank God technology, people can work remotely. But
Mm.
having the talent and sustaining them too is part of it. Then seeking collaborations too, because for me, not to get ahead of myself or show whatever is, Bloomberg Terminal has been a very huge inspiration for
Mm.
me since I came on board as the head of BRIU.
Mm-hmm.
But I did know that we couldn't just jump into Bloomberg Terminal. We
Mm.
needed to build a data family. Let me use the word.
Mm-hmm.
Build them, then navigate them into that. So the whole navigation process is still going, and actually that was the reason why I had to postpone for a while. So
Mm-hmm.
we are having that. So I just want to say people should just stay in tune, because like I say, man, it's business day. Business day is solid. So
Yeah.
we just get into that. But for the problems, as I said, looking at it is we need to have that data driven um, appetite and attitude. Like I said, is like how we are building a data family now. Like, you know, before now, you didn't really have any interest in regards to a newsletter that had data insight on financial capital. But when business started, you're like, okay, these guys are doing it every day. Okay, I think it's kind of cool. Then you
Mm-hmm.
saw the other one. At least that brought the conversation here. There are people now who just see, well, okay, this one good now. People now use it for their own. So when we are now taking that data culture and building it, on a larger scale, I think it will be much easier. So in a couple of months, I think we should do certain things about that.
All right. Okay. Sounds like I don't envy you. Sounds a lot of work.
Oh my
So good luck.
God.
Good luck in that
No,
regards.
no, I'm very happy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work because, well, I was just discussing with HRA in it. I'm like, the next step I'm trying to do now is I might just come up with you one day. I say I need so amount of people. You just have to get me them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, so we're seeing the conversations of it, and some things are actually working out. So above all is I'm very particular about a few things, and one of them is moving with the speed.
Mm-hmm.
But while I'm moving with the speed, understand the pace at which you move.
Mm.
Like Tommy Yamasu that ran the hundred
That was
and
in my
ten.
head right now. Like
Exactly. She's a fantastic runner. Fantastic. Even besides being a runner, I didn't know much about her, to be honest. She
Nigerians
struggled.
did not know her how to.
Uh-huh. Exactly. But when I went back to read her story, I just saw somebody that was purpose driven.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing back into the question is she runs 110 hurdles, and then she has made name with that. She understood her pace and understood the hurdles was the best way for her to accelerate. I'm assuming so. But you
Mm-hmm.
see the pure 100 meters, we have people like the boats
Mm-hmm.
who run without any hurdle. They go view.
Mm-hmm.
But she understands with the hurdles she move and she can be the best. So why am I trying to say that? Understanding your pace and understanding where to run
Mm-hmm.
will also give you that way to get to the final destination triumphantly. So we have understood our pace now and our own consumers and the final consumers of the goods too. So understanding our pace, we already got that now. So we have a lot of things coming on board. And I can tell you, it might not be the hurdle race. It's our
Yeah.
business that we do, but as long as we have it in a couple of months, I think it will be very cool. And I like Nigerians for one thing is, when you have an idea, you might think people might not really vibe with you, but when you put something good here, people respond, and it's that shock and accessibility that make some of us in the AI or data world want to just do more. Sometimes it's not necessarily the money, the solution you bring and how it affects life or day-to-day activities
Mhm.
that really cuts the other engagement. So we can get more feedback and we'll try to grow the whole engagement for it and we'll be fine.
Hmm. All right. Um, Thank you. That's interesting. So as we just wrap up now, I just want to ask, three questions actually. Because
Okay.
what's your dream for, your industry, new economy, right? So like for the economic industry as a whole, market industry, that's the first question. The second question is like, what advice? So your potential employees, right? You went to the HR to get potential people. Like, what kind of advice would you give them? So people that are like into economics, people that were like you before, right? Trying to understand things. What advice do you have for them? And then finally, what is your Nigerian dream? If there's a Nigerian dream.
Oh my God. This
Yeah.
man, this man. For the first one, the dream for the industry is if we can have more data blogs. Business Day is doing theirs.
Mm-hmm.
We have other companies also doing theirs, like you likely mentioned. If we have more engagement into that, having alternatives, what makes food have more sorry, let me put it like this. I wanted to go more economic, like about food utility satisfaction, but I'm
Go
just
ahead,
getting more.
though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is it
You gotta when they say go to economic class, they not go. No, they
okay? Okay, now having alternatives
Mm,
gives more satisfaction. Like for instance, you said you like how business day gives a particular news for your own interest and stuff.
mhm,
That's what you picked and that's what you're vibing with. Some people are like, oh, I want the slow news. They go to stairs. So if we have more of these agencies, kicking it, we want to have more agencies hitting data. You can have data. I was doing data on data for development. That was when I was able to do the World Bank renewable project. It was
mhm,
not for market, but I knew I didn't want to do that for long term. I was just happy that it was how to boost the post-pandemic renewable energy. Fantastic. You can stick on that. There's data for capital markets. There's data for creative industry. For me, I'll just tell the new guys is just pick an industry and say, okay, I want to be the best guy that can provide solution in this industry. The
mm,
service industry is new. The Nollywood industry is new. Just start building your data, start building it and start giving insight. From there, you can go and meet someone like Kuni and say, this data I've gathered from so and so, and I've come to see that with solutions like this is the next generation of which you can do. So I think with that, you can just build. It's just exposing ourselves to more insights and more channels, and we can actually get there.
okay.
So exactly. So for new uh, economists, and please, if you're in the class of economists, for me, economics is a tool.
Mm,
Understand the basics and the theory. It might not be current advice, I don't know,
mhm,
but understand your theories very well. But please apply those theories into the real life. Sometimes it may make you slower in the classroom, but just keeping with the classroom is one thing. I like to think of economics like computer science now. You can't sit in the classroom every day and listen and start jotting it. So courses like economics, computer science are tools. Is please engage with the new age technology and time.
mm.
Make sure at the end of your 4 years, you've picked a programming language. If it's Arrow, fantastic. If it's Python, if you can pick the two, God bless you.
Okay.
Then your database analysis should be on point. Learn
Yeah.
Power BI. See, Excel is so an underrated tool. Oh my God. See,
Mm.
master your Excel and you'll be fine. Like Excel, no Excel, like see, Excel can take you to places that are beyond measures. And I did not know this thing. It's like, see, I just wish I can just do like a whole 30 minutes on Excel. Like, please engage with Excel and you'll be happy. Like, just engage with Excel.
Yeah, you're so
Economic.
happy. It's like you want to hug
I
yourself.
didn't know. Yes,
Yeah, hug
exactly. Like exactly. Like I'm hugging Excel. Like,
it.
see, master your Excel. These things are not really much hard measures. From there, you can move to Power BI. Power BI should not take you if you are young, your brain is sharp. SQL. Then, besides you becoming too marketable, I don't think you should be market. I think you should target on being marketable for a job. I think you should be marketable as an individual that gives solution.
Mm.
I can tell you now, people are getting two, three jobs at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Not affecting
Employers
anything.
don't like hearing that too, but go ahead.
Even my people will not like I'm saying that, but as you said,
Yeah.
it's just most people, and you can even now be working from the comfort of your home. And I tell people is that let's be honest, is we want money as a means of survival, but what gives us satisfaction is not really money. It's what you use your skill set or your talent to do. That really gives us satisfaction. Let's be honest. With new artists like Rema or before Michael Jackson, do you think their satisfaction is when they perform on stage and everybody is singing their song?
Mm.
It's not necessarily how much. Yes, they want to say, "Oh, I made red." Like for me, this generation artist is Rema. Rema cannot come and say, "I made so much money from this."
Mm-hmm.
Is I went to a place like ATL and everybody sang my song word to word. A music I made
Mm-hmm.
in Nigeria. So for you as a Nigerian, is I know the ASU is not encouraging, for those in federal or government schools, but just learn these things and you discover that when some of us are getting this thing, I was happy. Yes, money. I was able to buy a new laptop. Chichi, I was happy with that.
That $350 is my own. No.
It's my own. Keep
Yeah.
it. I will ask you for it, and I told him that money does not mean you not give my pocket money. Let's just establish that right now. But if we're able to get good systems, enroll for course.
Hey, you're shaking some table. Do you know the amount of tech people that they don't, their parents don't know they're working because if they know,
They know.
they'll come again.
Pocket money is not coming again. No.
No, open that thing
Okay.
on their behalf.
And I get to, just having to just do all these things. And there's one thing I say is that it's a learning curve.
Mm.
I'm still even learning. People are learning. Like sometimes I go into a room, I'm like, what is happening here?
Mm-hmm.
So I just listen, I go back. I can stay a couple of hours. I'm just listening, then contributing the bit I know, growing at that pace. So having the ability to learn and listen is key.
Mm.
Do you know why IELTS don't joke with listening?
I
It's
don't
one of
know.
the best ways to learn because they always want people who have the ability to listen. Because when you listen, for me, when you're a good listener, it just puts you at the edge. It puts you at the edge of everyone. Like it puts you like 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone. Just be a good listener, be a good learner, and just be in that right environment. Like if you want to be a data kind of person, be where they are talking of data. Don't go to where upcoming musicians are trying to create a song. Go to where your guys are, like be in that network, and you just grow. You never can tell. We might just be somebody that is listening to us now, might just be the one that's going to profile all the solutions Nigeria has to do with data as a result of financial capital markets. Some of us might just be front runners. Whichever way it goes, solution has to come. So if it comes now, if it comes later, if it comes from a new bright mind, then I'm ready to listen to him. I'm ready to sit down at the table. If it requires me paying, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to listen to him. Be a
Mm.
better version of myself and
Mm.
just strike. So that's it.
All right. Then the Nigerian dream.
Okay. The Nigerian dream for me would be I really want a Nigeria. I'll break it into two:
Okay.
economy and living. When I mean living, it's our daily routine and Nigeria economy dream. First of all, is I want a Nigerian dream where everybody has pride in their occupation. Like I'm very keen on people should be easily accepted on the work they do instead of you telling them to do A or doing B. To digress enough is I was telling somebody I watched a movie some years ago and it changed my mindset. The funny enough is that whenever I watch movies a few times, I just pick one or two things. There was this animal that attacked a village, and the police were trying to detect, what was the cause. Okay, from us watching it as a movie, we knew it was an animal. They knew it was an animal. So
Mhm.
they called one woman. I think our area had to do with ants, insects.
Mm.
So police constantly called the woman, and the woman was saying it was so and so animal, which was relatively unknown. But the commissioner of police was like, listen to her. She's a professional in that area. She has been on that period for so and so years. And they worked with her and they were able to find the animal that did it, which happened to be like a big dragon or whatever. And they killed it and community were better. That was a movie. What I picked from that essence is if that commissioner of police did not recognize and respect and was willing to listen to whatever solutions that professional said, they won't have gone to that solution. So I want a Nigerian whereby someone can come out to say, it's not about the monetary. Someone can say, I'm a journalist. Someone can say, I'm a scriptwriter. Someone can say, I'm a teacher. I want a Nigerian dream where we have respect for one another's occupation,
Mm.
and and everybody's occupation is given that front row when it comes to decision making. I think is when we have that, with that we are going to have respect for us individuals. We're going to have corporate respect. So some industries can be specialized in training tortoise. Some people can just be specialized in medical health care. I don't care what it is, as far as legal and good. Please, this is what I'm saying. Legal and good. And let's just have respect. I can be just the person that makes paints or do barrels. I might just come with new fancy barrels and I'm just saying respect for careers for me is what
Mhm.
I'm really, really looking for, because that's what is very huge in the developed economies, like as you said, yeah, Madrid, wherever you could go around and someone can take pride to say, uh, I'm a chef in so and so. See, let me tell you, it's those people's confidence that start making an idea say, I'm a chef, I'm a painter, because that's the confidence that they are getting without us saying how to sell ourselves. So if
Mhm.
we have confidence and it will just improve, and we have standard of living, and everybody will be all right in quotes.
Mm. All right. This has been like such a good conversation.
Yeah.
From somebody that I used to read on my laptop now to like getting to know the story, getting to know you better, and like
Okay.
I'm even happier self because like at least I know your mindset, right? I like what I'm
Yeah.
is like legitimate and whatever. So that's very good. For everybody listening, like go and subscribe to the research and intelligence unit of the Economist, right? I mean, if that's your thing, if not, I think business they
Yeah.
have other aspects. Yeah.
So, and I'll just say, guys, when you're coming up and people might feel you are too young to occupy positions, don't really listen to them, just deliver. So some of us were able to start doing things since we're 21 or 22.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm, at least I'm not that old, but then,
Yeah.
that sometimes I walk into a room where people are in their 30s or 40s. Before I used to put that, and it wasn't the case. I'm not as built as Michael Jordan. What I mean is I'm not 6 feet, So and have your confidence in your skill set and just develop it. You can be 22 and they can put you to head the unit. Please don't listen to sometimes what the older generation will tell you. Sorry, some people may not like that advice because they don't understand these things, unless some of them who are willing to listen.
Mhm.
So as far as you're not doing the wrong thing, no, don't be arrogant or feel you know everything. Be willing to listen, but don't let a wrong perspective, because in quote is coming from an elder person, an older person in the career or in life, take you out that block. When I tried it, it didn't help me. So since I started sticking to my guns, I
Mhm.
can tell you, man, it has really, really, really helped me. So as early as 24, 25, we started heading units and it has been success all through. So, just be good.
All right. I think like one another important thing probably like that is so key is that Sabi, you got Sabi. Like it's not you got Sabi what you're doing because
Yeah.
don't be a fraud, basically.
Exactly.
Don't be-
Even if, and it's although some people might be scared, we are not saying you know it by 10 over 10,
Mm,
but at least have a knowledge and be a good learner. Even you that is a head, self, somebody there will be doing something you have no idea of. I was telling some of these people now, there are some things they do. Me, I don't know. It's not within my skill set. But in
Yeah.
their mind, they think I know everything. Yes, I have an idea of everything that goes around. But if
Mhm.
they say Oseghale, oh yeah, run it. If they tell me say Oseghale, take in C plus plus and do program, I'll just be looking at you. But if but if you are in Java or C plus, you can be doing what I can be looking at. Say, okay, I understand what is going on here. So ability to learn is very key, and having the right from the foundation or fundamentals, then you can move. So, and again, you got sabi to some extent. Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Then you got sabi your word.
Eh.
Exactly. Then for me, I think you're as good as gone.
All right. Anyway, so thank you first of all, like that you're doing this. Thank you for your interest in bringing data to the front for a lot of consumers, institutional investors, and individuals as you categorize them. And thank you for first of all, I can see a PhD is not for the weak, and then
Thank you.
getting a
Thank you.
PhD for economics, right, and statistics is not, in fact, it's not for the weaker. And then getting a PhD on vulnerable employment because
Yes.
it's so. I mean, you have gone through the thick of the thick, I would say, right, when it comes to like the problems in Nigeria and then around the continent, right, and like here you are today, and so like thank you for that, and I'm sure that whatever your future holds for you, like it's just going to benefit society even more, especially because you have a deep interest in ESG, as you stated, right?
Yes.
Thank you on behalf of all those future people that will benefit from your work. People
Thank
like
you. I
us
appreciate it.
are benefiting presently from your work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate. Like I say, I always look opportunities to engage people in this thing.
Mhm,
So I said, started as a lecturer, so I cannot see myself as a lifelong teacher or whatever. So
mhm.
I'm always open to explain. Okay, do you understand that? Okay, don't worry, come, let me show you again.
Yeah, it's so key. Like for I wish head of departments, right, were like this because some people are crying, at night because their bosses are giving them headache. So I'm sure
Yeah.
your employees, at least people under you, are like happy with the way you approach things.
They were nice. They got me a birthday gift, and I liked it.
When
They
was
bought
your
me August 17th. They bought me a basketball jersey. I loved it. In fact, if care is not taken, that's the only cloth I wear now. You are even lucky to catch me on this. You are very lucky.
what club do you support?
I'm a Warriors, Golden
What?
State Warriors.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. But
Wolves.
don't mind them. They are trying to sell me. They got me a Michael Jordan jersey. But it's okay. It's okay. I will manage for Michael Jordan. They could not just get me a Steph Curry jersey, or
Yeah,
let's say a Klay Thompson or a
yeah.
Jordan Poole. They now got me a Bull. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll take it. I'll
No,
take
but
it.
but a Jordan Bull jersey is, it's
No,
like
it's epic.
it's like having, who will I say? It's like having a Ronaldinho Barcelona jersey. No matter if you're a Madrid fan or something, like
Yes.
Ronaldinho on your back is accepted.
It's
But
accepted. It's accepted. It's
you have Cristiano
accepted.
Ronaldo hair problem.
Oh, Messi.
Eh,
Exactly. Exactly.
Golden
So
State, now they try, they try.
we do our best. Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't worry. By the end of this year, I should be saying back-to-back champs. But let's see. Let's see, man.
Let's see.
Back-to-back champs. Back-to-back champs. Okay. I kind of enjoyed talking to you too, and also listening to you. And I think you are a very good listener, and also at better a very good interviewer, because it's two things: is when interviewing somebody, if you don't have an idea of it, you have to take a background study of that topic. So I like that you're not just nodding here to say, yeah. There sometimes you even give insight to say, I heard on so and so and do stuff. So for every guy down to the podcast or future guys to always have an insight of a topic before going for the conversation. I think it helps. So I'll
No,
just look for more time, then Hala can always,
no problem. I
chat.
have, I have your connects now. Don't worry.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Oseghale. Thank you for everybody listening to this. Okay, finally, like for someone that wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? If somebody
Okay.
wants to contact.
Okay. On LinkedIn, my name is Oseghale Ihayere. I'm sure when he posts this, he will write my full name, but Oseghale is
Mhm.
Oseghale. Then on social media platforms is Dr. Ihayere, so Drihayere. So I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not on TikTok, but every other thing, I'm there. Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm not saying it is. I don't know how to operate those guys. I tried to download it, and it was looking stressful to operate.
He's putting caution. He's saying like it's not because it's like I don't
Yes.
know how.
Like
Not
it's
for
so
me.
stressful. Yes, it's
Yeah.
just stressful, but it's okay. So I'm where I know. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll learn how to operate TikTok and Snapchat and be there. But maybe I'll be. I think yes, for Snapchat, so I'll be showing you how I'm collecting data. Okay, I'm
Mm.
thinking of it now.
Yeah, it would be like especially for Nigeria. I don't know. Maybe for business themselves, you can go and keep it inside the department.
Department.
We need
Okay,
a
let's
TikTok. Oh, like people, we can do. Like
TikTok.
what
Hey,
TikTok for
TikTok
people.
is stressful. I've appeared in my sister's TikTok and it was stressful. She was telling me to prepare for this. They have to edit it.
A full-time job.
No, I can't. I can't. I just do it because I love. I just have one sister, so I was just shadowing the dance routine. But never again. Never again. Never again.
This is an economist, though, somebody that knows work. Like hey, TikTok is work.
Yeah,
Right.
TikTok is work. Is work. So it's fine.
All right. Thank you. It's finally Mr. Oseghale, and can't wait. I hope to have by the time you are able to pull through on the project that you said you wanted to do, right? Probably like we'll love to have another conversation on that so that we'll just explore new insights. And maybe I don't know, 10 years time from now, when more players are into and like the beauty from an economic standpoint of having players in the market is that price will reduce, so we enjoy, right? Because more competition drives prices down, right?
Premium. We are premium.
Okay, all right. In that case, well, even with premium, the more premiums, right, the more market wise you have to reduce your prices still.
Luxury goods.
Yeah, yeah, going higher and higher.
I'm going to give you exemptions to the market laws.
Okay, economy, so I know I would not do something I don't do. Anyways, yeah. Thank you once again, and hope to have another conversation with you in the future. And thank you to Business Day, as well for what you are doing, keeping Nigerians aware of what is happening in the society, economically and business wise.
Okay. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Bye.